Hello, folks. We're going to try to revalidate the findings that we had in the Nessus scan. Let's go take a look. All right. These are all saved states. Let's see if they start without GUI. It looks like one of them is calling out the DNS already. Nessus didn't like its saved state, so let's go ahead and discard it and start it again. Start without a GUI. And similarly, we will do the same with Kali. Only we want a GUI on this one. Okay, the host is up. And the IP is the same. So we should be able to log into the host. One moment. Okay, back to our screen share. Yes, our license should expire soon. And we found a variety of things. Let's go by host. Say 32. Oh, wait, wrong scan. Would this have been the one? Yes, yes it was. 12 and dot 14. So here we found our version was out of date, not maintained anymore, 1604. That's fairly easy to validate quickly. We can look out at the manifest that we used to build these and find we used, well, wrong one. Let's look at bind. We have Zennial 64, which is in fact an older build. So if we look at it, the box itself is probably oh my. If we look at the cloud, I think that was built 471 days ago, so over a year ago. But looking around within that host, let's see. So this is truthful. This is accurate. We could build it with a newer version of the operating system. I think there was a date disclosure that was super exciting. Let's see. This was the interesting one, the SSH Terrapin prefix truncation weakness. I had taken the opportunity to look at it a little bit closer. It doesn't appear that downloads. Looking at the Terrapin attack, the paper that was written on it, it doesn't appear that this allows for us to obtain a shell on the host itself. Instead, this is a attack against a connecting user, which was not readily obvious from this. So here we go. We consider a man-in-the-middle attacker who can observe, change, delete, or insert bytes of the TCP layer. We assume the attacker cannot break the confidentiality of the session keys. They have no idea about the keys. They are just able to insert traffic into the midst of an ongoing connection. They are novel, quite novel, the attacks. Let's see, where was it? The trap was modified. New prefix truncation attacks against final version of TLS were known. SSH does not reset sequence numbers at the beginning of the secure channel. It increases them monotonically, which I don't quite know what the heck that means. Thinking through this a little bit further, I was hoping that we would be able to find something that would give us a shell, but this vulnerability does not appear to be that way. It's quite the other one. It appears that they were able to where was it? some pretty dense stuff, but where was it? They show how a man-in-the-middle attacker can arbitrarily increase the received sequence numbers in the client and the server. This is the basis for the prefix truncation attack in its applications, allowing the attacker to compensate for messages deleted from the secure channel. I didn't initially understand what they were meaning by that. I mean, you would only be able to, in theory, delete. And this is where it fell apart. I'm like, okay, is it bidirectional communications they're able to manipulate the drop traffic out of and substitute their own? Or were they able to fully insert themselves in the middle of that, of a already connected host? So, where was it? Exploitable, not exploitable. Where was it? This took some time to read and follow. Whoever put this together, wow, they are incredibly intelligent. SSH extension negotiation. Where was it? Extension downgrade attacks. So they were able to use less than ideal protocols, for my understanding. Encryption mode. They're detected first. Where was it? Man in the middle ejects ignore messages before the handshake concludes, which results in the ability of them to change the sequence numbers. And it's not readily clear what happens once that's done. There would need to be more development. So this one was concerning message injection attacks on async SSH. Obviously, that is just one implementation in Python with a lot of use. But it was not noted to be an open SSH. Where is this? Advanced sequence number manipulation. Yes. So it did not appear that there were... they validated against PuTTY. Open SSH 95P1 recognizes rollover sequence numbers and terminates connection, not being affected by any advanced technique. So the bottom line seemed to be very effective in convincing me that this is not going to be something exploitable, and not likely going to be something that would concern us, and is also not something that is relevant to this particular instance of this test. So this weakness, yes, it may be present. However, it does not appear to be something to be super excited about or concerned about. And if we look at the host itself, should be able to see. Let's say you are using apt. Git update. Open SSH. Sudo apt. Wrong host. Bind. SSH. And we are able to go a little bit further and say sudo apt get update upgrade open SSH apt get search open SSH please apt search open SSH apt search open SSH. There we are. So where does that leave us? Key codecs, Perl implementation. Where is OpenSSH? Okay, dash client, OpenSSH server. Okay, so let's look at this. Oh, come on. So back out to yes, it's 1604. OpenSSH upstream version is claimed to be 7.2 P2. Okay. Does not appear. Yes. It does not. I'd be surprised if it upgraded. Sudo apt get upgrade open SSH. What was it? Open SSH dash server. So oh, come on. Copy. Yes, let's run the update and see what version we get. And then again, we do open SSH search. SSH server. Yes. Let's do this. So yes, it looks like we're not going to be able to update it because the package maintainers have not moved forward the version of SSH at all. It looks like we updated likely some additional. Let's look through this. Yeah, it's claiming it's already the newest version. It upgraded some supporting software. So yes, in order to get rid of that message, we're going to have to do this build with a different, or do this build again with a different version of Ubuntu. So Ubuntu latest version. Requesting Quokka. I don't know what a Quokka is. Noble Numbat, which is, that's what that thinks. I don't care what AI thinks. Let's look at what they have. 24043. 2510 is the latest. So 24043 LTS is probably going to be our best. And what's its code name? Let's look it up. Noble Numbat. So what if we do okay, Noble. So it'd be Ubuntu, Noble 64. Let's look. There are not many current builds. We can make our own box, which is what I would highly suggest if someone is considering this methodology to put hosts into production. But looking at this, we have it does not appear that there is a Noble 64 build out of the Ubuntu group. There's this, but I highly doubt that is who we are thinking it is. Yeah. So we could build our own, or we will have to accept that to be the most current and best, latest and greatest version that we can get this host running. Yes, we can. We're willing to live with a vulnerability that does not appear to have any exploits available for it. The way that we can validate that is we could take the CVE ID number and let's not use this box. Let's use our local box. We could go out to NIST or a variety of other sources. And we can see 5.9 medium. How does it earn that score? Exploitability subscore 2.2. Network. Excuse me. Network, adjacent network, local, and physical. So it's poorly exploited. Has a very high attack complexity. No privileges are required, but as best we can tell, there's POC code. It says not defined. However, there is POC code that we pulled down. The POC has requirements such that you have to be on the same network as the host that's running OpenSSH. You can man in the middle, an ongoing connection to another box. Let's see. So this was that document that we had open earlier. Packetstorm Security had this paper, and we downloaded it and read it. It included proof of concept. I also went out to full disclosure, and this covered, yeah, this was nothing. It seemed to be documentation for the vulnerability affecting macOS Sonoma. Where was it? Oh. Debian long-term support. That was their there was their announcement. Here we go. That's what I was looking for. They agreed it was medium 5.9. Found an OpenSSH before 9.6. Yeah, 7.2. Bypass integrity checks such that some packets are omitted from the extension negotiation message and a client may. The server may consequently end up with connection for which some features have been downgraded or disabled. Terrapin attack. So the binary packet protocol, which is deprecated anyway, it's due for update. Implemented by the extensions Mishandles the handshake phase and mishandles use of sequence numbers. There's effective attack against SSH use of Cha-Cha 20, Poly 1305, and CBC with Encrypt the MAC. Bypass occurs. And if CBC is used, and a bunch of versions of things that it affects, including, excuse me, open SSH. Including Win32 open SSH before 9500. So it's fixed in 2204 Jammy. 1804 LTS Bionic. Xennial, we've discovered it's probably not fixed in. And 1404 is out of support. libSSH. They're indicating Bionic is not affected, but OpenSSH, SSH1, it's ignored. libSSH2, not affected. And they're indicating it is fixed. 176p1, and we are looking at, yes, a prior version, 7.2. So if we could get to 7.6, we could see that message go away. Yes. For upstream OpenSSH developers, while cryptographically novel, the security impact of this attack is fortunately very limited, as it only allows deletion of consecutive messages, and deleting most messages at this stage of the protocol prevents user authentication from proceeding, results in a stuck connection. The most serious identified impact is that it lets a man in the middle delete the SSH2 message extension info, ext info, message set before auth starts, allowing the attacker to disable a subset of keystroke timing obfuscation features introduced into the current or into a newer version. No other discernible impact. So we can actually argue that for the vendor themselves, this is unlikely to be anything of concern. Attack complexity high, despite the fact that it's a medium impact. So if I were a discerning sysadmin, I would definitely suggest moving to the newest version of Ubuntu, but I would definitely not be particularly concerned about this this vulnerability being exploited in the wild. So that kind of leads us back to, we can continue to harden the host, but there would be diminishing value to spend any time on that particular vulnerability, or trying to get a newer version of SSH shoehorned into this, when clearly this is the latest one that the the upstream package maintainers have made available for it. That would be Ubuntu. So in that regard, they are both very tied for in terms of our vulnerability assessment against the hosts. We could update to Noble Numbat. There are a few people who have built this. Depends on who you trust. Obviously, they don't have a great means of pulling down that which Ubuntu themselves is not maintaining. So if I just type in Ubuntu, we have 1404 LTS. I wish you could kind of constrain by the author. Wonder if I could do this. Ubuntu. And they have Bionic, Focal, Jammy, Trusty, and Trusty. And we have built on Xennial. We should probably move to Bionic. Let's try that. Yeah, I'm not creating yet another login. I'm not logging into this to be able to do this. But let's go ahead and try to rebuild. Exit, Vagrant, destroy. Force. And again, this is in the bind as well as, let's see, that was our Nessus, our bind puppet, Bionic 64, save. Alright, Vagrant. Up. Let's bring it bind puppet, Vagrant, destroy F. And Vagrant up. So we are pulling down the base box for Bionic. We already got pulled down. Here is quite fast. So we're on 1804. Let's get these hosts to clean. Allow. Again, that's my system's firewall making noise. So that time's out. Wow. Wow. Interesting. Now the script does not work on the latest version. Let's look at this. Bionic 64. Bind Puppet, Bionic 64. Let's look at our Bind Puppet. No installation candidate, darn. So, let's look at, we have to move forward from Xennial to probably Bionic. Copy, paste. Yes, we need to move to Bionic. Puppet. Could probably go Puppet 8. Bionic. But here we are, Xennial. Let's fix that. As well as Xennial. Bionic. Save. Vagrant. Destroy F. And Vagrant up. Okay, that successfully applied the catalog. So now if we do Vagrant SSH, hop to the host, we are on 20.04.6 LTS. Oh no, that's available. We're on 1804. So if we do let's say we do our host group.com and we use localhost to look it up. And then we run it again, populate the cache, and it succeeds. So we have built the host, we've made it work again. Let's do IPA. This host is 3.27, and let's look at our bind. Let's do Vagrant SSH. Again, it similarly is on 1804, so we do IP, well, let's do hostpoop.com, localhost, allow. It's not found on the first request. Ask for it again. So something to do with the script running. It ran on the previous version, but it does not run on the current version. System control status bind 9. It's running. Netstat 53. It's listening. And we also see port 22. Our communications are established with the host. So let's check. Okay. Let's rerun our scans. What is your IP? IPA. IPA. So we have 35 for a bind. And 27. Wait. 25 and 27. So let's go scan those hosts. And our session expired. So let's copy that. Paste. Log in. Ah, yes, we know our trial will expire. Let's do a new scan. And we are going to do let's do a basic network scan. We're going to specify 10.0.3.25, 10.0.3.27. Call this updated OS scans. And let's go ahead and scan them. There we are. Now we're running our scan. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Let's see what this one is. It seems unavoidable at this point because we have not achieved a higher version than is required to trigger this particular vulnerability. Yes. So the critical vulnerabilities that it's found. Let's see. Back to vulnerabilities. There we are. Okay. Yes, we're still using 7.6. Interesting. So this is as clean as it gets, even if we move to the newer version. They still all seem to suffer from this, identified by the vulnerability scan. Again, 1804, May 11th, 2022. So perhaps we could bypass this by, we could go back and we could do, this is for the bind host, we could do sudo apt get dist upgrade. Yes. Sudo apt get dist upgrade. Yes. Let's see what happens when they finish updating. Bind puppet and bind. Okay. This one's almost done. I forget which one I started first. There we are. So let's rerun our updated OS scans. looks like it might be some DNS queries resolving. Let's see how this goes. Should finish pretty quickly. There's our end of life 10.0 critical notice. Interesting that it's still there despite us updating to the latest. Let's look at that. DMESG. So looking at the output of dmessage 415, you went to 11804. What if we do, well, let's let this, okay, it finished. It's still 1804, both of them. Now how is 2.27 and 25? Which ones are .27? 27 is our bind puppet. So how has it got one more vulnerability? What's this song about? Got me for cache snooping. So this is a questionable at best finding. It's something that I wouldn't include on a pen test unless there was painfully little to go off of. You can yes, this is supposed to be a lookup server. That's kind of the point. Responds to queries for third-party domains that do not have the recursion bit set. Yes, this is difficult to mitigate. So, yes. That is because they are recursive and not authoritative over particular domains. So I don't know why it got us for cache snooping on that one, but not this one. Likely because we found DNS. Both of these have that. Yes. DNS server, version bind 9.11.2. Yes. Ha. So, let's double check these. From a third-party host, which would be the Nessus host. Let's do host hostpoop.com. 10.0.3.25. Keep in mind we're on .24. So it's 25 and 27, I believe. Yeah, bind puppet is 27. So there's 25. Let's ask again. Okay, so for whatever reason, bind is installed, but it is not able to do lookups. So our script that worked in one build of Linux does not work in another build of Linux, is what we've determined. So let's look at, that's why that did not, and here we can see it immediately resolves for our puppet build. So this is an example of, yet again, why I feel it's very imperative that we do not use scripting to configure a host, that we are much better off using some method of version config of we are much better off using some method of defining the end state of the host, and I don't care if that's Puppet, could be some kind of Ansible, salt stack, that anything that allows us to get a step back from describing hosts in very specific fashions, and instead move forward to describing the host as
Mr. Charles, I'm now on
in a
the other
paradigm.
side. Do you see me?
I do see you.
This light's out right here too.
Is that 2 West?
Nope, I'm still on 2 East. Now I'm on the north side of the building.
So we're doing some fun stuff at the library today.
Check the whole floor.
What I'm looking at
Appreciate you.
is
No problem.
we could probably go and true up the script and make it work. Again, I just don't see the I don't see the return on investment of time from managing a script versus defining this manifest and using Vagrant or something of that nature to trigger the Puppet module apply. The Puppet module, regardless of versioning, seems to continue to keep pace with us. It doesn't seem to have any challenges describing a consistently working in the same fashion host. That being said, I think without going and deploying a new install of the operating system and taking that new install of the operating system and uploading it to HashiCorp and setting it as a box, which I've done before. As a matter of fact, there's at least one out there still. HashiCorp boxes. Vagrant boxes, Vagrant Cloud, so my Win 11 is out there. It's 106 weeks old though. So yes, this is a default installation. There is absolutely no, wow, it's had 221 downloads, but this is a default installation with absolutely no garbage installed whatsoever. I promise on my livelihood, this is a clean host. It's trustworthy as it gets. So if I was to need a Windows 11 box, this is what I would do. I would go over here and let's run it. Let's go cd, so exit cd make dir win11 cd win11. Again, this process works regardless of how many times we do it. Love it. And we could run our Vagrant. We could do two things. We could either do the Vagrant configure, or we could just do this, Vagrant init, paste, Vagrant init. We now have a Vagrant file in this box. So we now have a Vagrant file. Let's go ahead and add this to our, let's go ahead and say, this is new, or, no. We want to add to workspace. Add folder to workspace. And we can say Win11. Add. Now we have Win11 Vagrant file. And we can do Vagrant up. And again, there's not a whole lot to configure. I did not add the ability for this to be brought up within this, by this provider. It's going to want, yeah, it's not going to work with VirtualBox. Good point. So that was built to work with KVM. So it only has the VirtIO drivers. Gosh. So yeah, libvirt is what it expects. I guess I could build another one. With more providers supported. But regardless, we could do the same. Here we go. Depends upon who you trust. But there are not a lot of boxes. You can see VMware Desktop Hyper-V VirtualBox. This one seems to be let's see. So we could instead go and do this. And we can specify they're on their 1.0. Yeah, 1.0. Save. And we could say, okay, cool. Well, let's bring that up. And it looks like it's going to go ahead and download. Fortunately, our Wi-Fi is really quick here at the library, so it looks like it might run in 6 minutes. Something along those lines. But again, you can see the flexibility that this methodology provides us. As well as there is server 2008, 20, 2016. I thought I made a 2016 box. Interesting. Salesforce has one. I recall putting one out there. I thought I had a 2016 somewhere. There's supports VirtualBox and VMware Workstation. I would trust Salesforce's build of that particular box, oddly enough. I've met the gentleman that works for Salesforce and does some of the DevOps-like stuff. So, that said, in a few minutes we will have a downloaded Windows 11 box, but that is kind of peripheral to what we were taking on, and it's something that we will address another time. In the interest of keeping these videos a little bit more compact and short, I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share, and I'm going to go review a couple other challenges that I've been addressing, and I hope you folks enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.